We're bad and mean, the green machine. We hit them hard, so they see green.
Machine is here! Kane is here! In the flesh!
Alright, so you're with Ado. I'm doing a little bit of an impromptu chat with here with Klimmy, who's a bit of a good member of the old BJ on Game Day fraternity. He jumps on the chats and he has a chat with us about everything Supercoach. He's having a good year. And I'm just going to talk, because obviously it's a bit of a low-key week, with only the State of Origin this week. But how are you, Klimmy? And welcome to On The Video. You're on. How are you?
Yeah, g'day, guys. First of all, thanks for Ado for having an impromptu show. I know the boys are having a break, it's a well-deserved break. We could be a pain in the ass sometimes pestering him, but why not we take over the show for a bit, have a laugh.
Yeah, and I'm going to send this to Bogan afterwards. He may use it or he may not. That's up to him, I guess. But, look, I run my own show, but, I listen to all of the podcasts out there. I love to get a different perspective on it. Well, you've had a year where you've had your ups and your downs. You've had some good choices. And, I guess it's always good to kind of get another person's point of view. What do you think about the rest of the year and who are your targets? And now we're actually right in the big super trade round. So what are your thoughts? It's really interesting, I think, hearing a different perspective. So, it's good to have you on. And I think, early in the year, what was your highest rank this year?
Probably somewhere in the hundreds, I guess.
Yeah, when you're up in the hundreds, I think, I play, I'm in a lot of cashies. I'm in 8 cashies and 2 non-cashy leagues. One is a league I run and the other one is the BJ on Game Day. So I'm in a lot of cashies. So, I think I'm probably more of a head-to-head player than I am an overall player in a way. But I kind of play overall as long as I'm playing it successfully. So I always play it like a race, I always plan into that first buy. I always try to conserve trades, which I'm really shit at, if I'm being honest. And I get myself through the buys, and I try to play it as an overall. And after last week, I was into the 1,100. I got a big monster score of 1,700. With the Tommy Turbo captain, and I've conserved trades, so I'm going to try to play overall and go as long as I can. I think if you play overall really well, you do pretty good in your head-to-heads anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It's overall focused until you start going down in the ranks, and then you realize, what's the point? Might as well play head-to-head.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's just a mixture, I guess.
Yeah, and there is always a point when you try to do overall, because unless you're in the money, you lose. So
yeah, exactly.
Last year and every year, last year I cleaned up about 5,000 in cashies. And that's pretty good. So you have to sort of look at the the time where you choose to play head to head. And I think for this year, hey Kano, are you in there? I can see him. Kando, can you see Kando?
Yep, I can see
Hello,
Kando.
how are we?
Oh, hey Kando, we're recording. And we're just talking about, playing each year sort of as overall until you realise that you're not doing so good and then you choose to go head to head. I personally play a lot of cashies, so I pick a point where I'm just concentrate on cashies, but I think you play overall, don't you? And you just go as high as you can.
I'll go as hard as I can for overall and just try and get as high rank as I can to finish the season. That's how I always try and roll. And this year being in the Turbo's Hemis Cup is the most I've looked at head-to-head ever.
Yeah, and welcome to, this is Klimmy. We talk to him on the chat a lot. This is Klim.
G'day, Kando.
Welcome, Klimmy.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, he's in the chat with us now. And, I did a bit of an impromptu. I after last week's big monster, as you would know, because we're in the Turbo's Hemis, I've got a big 1726. I'm right on the cusp of the 1,000. I think I always play it like it's a running race, and I always try to play the buys and save the trades and sort of have some at the end. The biggest failing I've always had in the years past is I've never saved trades, and I always end up falling over at the end. And it is a race, but this year I'm doing well in overall, so I'm winning my head-to-heads as well. And I mean, I think people need to realize that if you're a head-to-head player, if you strive to be quite good at head-to-head and you just try to get the highest score you can get, you'll do well in your head-to-heads as well.
Yeah, I always felt that in overall, I'm always trying to get as many points as I can every week anyway. So if you're doing well in overall, you're usually competing in the head-to-heads as well. So my trade plans and all that sort of thing don't get, like, I'm not going to not pick up a buy player. I'll pick up that buy player and try and get the head-to-head win in that round as well. Like, you're not just focusing on that head-to-head. I do kind of hedge my bets a little bit, but in terms of trades and how I go about it, it's overall based.
Yeah. What about you, Klim? You always concentrate on the overall?
Yeah, mostly overall. But last year, I'm thinking to myself, I'm not going to win the 50 grand. Might as well a couple of the final rounds turn over to the head-to-head and try and knock some people over and at least get some cash,
Yeah. I mean, I'm in some real competitive ones. I mean, if I'd be lying if I said I wasn't in a few high rollers, like I'm in somewhere the buy-in's like $1,000, $2,000, but I'm a bit of a gambler, and so it makes the year confusing in a way sometimes when to let go of the overall. But this year, because I'm at the 1,000 now and I've planned my buy as well, I'm just going to play it like overall and just let the head-to-heads land as they may. I've just been playing head-to-head and I've had 4 wins in the Turbo Sammies in a row. It works if you're a good head-to-head. If you're a good overall player, you'll be a good head-to-head. I think that's my theory.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that.
Yeah, and
I actually got a win finally this week too.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Cowboy had a bit of a mess of a team, no turbo, so that always helps.
Yeah, and I mean, I was up against Barnsey from the All-Stars, and he, in the last 2 players he had on the deck, he got he had his captain in Hines, and then he also had Hughes, who got a ton as well. And I was just like, that's some good finishing scores. But obviously I had Eric, who I brought in, and I had Turbo. So it was a week of whether you had Turbo or not. And it kind of makes your outlook on this week a whole bunch different when you've just had a monster week, I think I leapfrogged a lot in the Turbo's Hannies, and overall I jumped a few, of my main competitors, overall as well. So I'm really happy with it.
You overtook me a few weeks ago, so.
Yeah, I mean, my momentum's been going good. So I mean, I don't want to be too chirpy because it could all go wrong if I've been playing the round 17 properly and the run home. But anyway, all I want to do in this little impromptu recording is, all right, we're in Super Trade round now. We've got an extended look at Super Trade round, because we've got the State of Origin on this weekend.
Yep.
I've sort of tinkered with a few things that I want to do, and I'll run a few things by both of you that I'm going to do. I think I'm pretty sold on what I'm going to do. I was sort of, on my podcast, I sort of said I was only going to do 4 trades, but I want to do the 5 now because I heard the TPJ news. So for me, that changes everything because he was one of my main front rowers. I've got RCG and TPJ as my main front rowers with Linu and Utika Manu. So I've got to make a trade. So it's going to be iPad. And so I'm going to bring in a non-round 17 player who I think is a finish the year front rower. Does anybody disagree with me that having IPAP in your front row is a bad choice if you go from TPJ?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Not at all.
I actually have IPAP in my second row, so I can swap IPAP up to front row to pair, because I've got Junior Paulo as my second, and then I can use TPJ to go to a Tohu or something like that instead. So I don't have to use a trade in the front row, which I don't really want to waste too many trades there.
Yeah. And I'm the same. I feel silly in a way not trading in a round 17 player, but to me, I'm going to get round 16 with IPAP, and it's kind of like a finish the year choice, in a way. So I was only going to use 4 in the super trade round, but I will make an exception because I don't think you can hold TPJ. What do you think, Klim? For some people have just said, well, I'll upgrade Utikamano to Takiaho and I'll just run him and hold TPJ. Do you think you can hold TPJ with the 3 weeks?
Well, I mean, if you've got the trades, then I guess so. And another bonus to TPJ, he's got that dual flexibility, so you can always chop and change. But I mean, it's up to personal preference, I guess.
Yeah,
overall, head-to-head.
Yeah, and I think you're right. The key is if you've got the trades, I guess. And I mean, if you're limited on trades, I don't think you can trade TPJ. Maybe if you're at 13.
Well, it also depends where he signs, doesn't it? Because if he goes to a club that's going to play 30 minutes in the middle off the bench, then he's not going to be a keeper anymore.
No, he's not even going to be a hold at all.
He needs to play some decent minutes.
So
if he goes to the Tigers, you'd expect that he's probably going to play good minutes. But he goes to the Roosters, both of those edge positions are pretty well locked down. He's likely to play a middle role, and Robbo doesn't just chuck someone in and play in big minutes straight away.
Yep, I agree. So, I mean, maybe TPJ's role is in question at best, and we don't know where he's going to go. There's too many unknowns. So, yeah, I'm happy to trade him as my number 1 trade to IPAP, and I'll get IPAP in my front row. I'll get him at least for round 16. And one of my other trades is going to be to get RCG up to Luke Thompson. So they're going to be my 2 main front rowers, and I'm going to obviously nuff out one of my Lenu and Utikamanos, and I want to bring in AFB, Adam Fanua Blake. So that's going to be my front row for the rest of the year. I'm going to go with IPAP. I'm going to go with Luke Thompson, and I'm going to have a benchy AFB and enough.
Yep, I like it.
So that's taken up a lot of my trades in this super trade round, but I think that really the front row has been a tough position this year. I think that if I can just... Someone talking? No.
Are you good?
Yeah, good.
So I think that solves a problem that I've got in there because, I mean, I was playing the gauntlet, wasn't I, with TPJ as my main front row and going someone who's a loose mustacher in bloody RCG. I got a 72 out of him this week, but I can't keep that forever. So
you were excited by that 72.
Yeah, I was. I was so excited when he got the try. But, I think those are good trades. It is going to take up, a bunch of my trades. And the only other trade that I'm going to use is going to be in the centre wing. I'm going to bring in Jesse Ramian. And I'm gonna sell Nico Hines. He's going to give me the money to do all those things in the front row. I'm going to sell Nico Hines down to Ramian, who I think is a good buy for the upcoming draw in the round run home. And I'm gonna, I'm gonna sell Hines because he's got one more game probably because of what they expect for Pappenhausen. So those are my trades with the super trade round. I think I'm pretty sold on all of them. Because I think they strengthen my team. It's not all exclusively around 17 people, but the only other trade that I need to make there is I'm going to guaranteed get Pappenhausen in. I'm going to sell Gutho to Pappenhausen. Gutho has actually held his salary really well, and I'm going to be able to just go him to Pappenhausen when the time is right, when he's back, and maybe I will sell,
Here's a scenario for you that I came up with during the week that I think could possibly happen. What are you going to do if round 16, Hines is named at fullback and Pappenhausen's on the bench?
Yeah. I mean, well, I would have in at fullback Turbo and Gutho. So I'm going to hold Gutho until Pappenhausen is the permanent full-time fullback, Yeah,
so what about Hines?
Well, I'm selling Hines this week.
Okay. Yeah, you get.
Yeah,
I am too.
Yeah, I'm cutting and running because he's at an 800. He's got to be in I think 134 this week.
Yeah, which is not too bad, but he's going to be dropping value, and I'm selling it for Garrick this week.
Yep. I think
he's my run home guy, where Hines isn't my run home guy because he's going to be playing 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So for me, I can make money off that trade to then use in other areas as well.
Yeah, and I think there's a time that you've got to bank on players. You've got to sell them. You've got to take the cash. What do you reckon, Klim? Do you own what's his name? Hines?
Hines.
Yeah, I do own Hines. I mean, last week you probably got lucky if you downgraded Hines to Garrick, and now you're probably cheering, you know.
Yeah.
I very nearly did.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. You know, I could have had Tommy and Garrick, and I would have had 300, 400, 500 points out of them too. You know, but that's just the cruel mistress of Supercoach. In terms of Pappenhausen, I mean, it's beautiful. He's a great downgrade target. He's got a really, really high break even.
Yep.
And by the time State of Origin rolls around, you'll be pretty ripe for picking, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I think running home with the Tommy Turbo and Paps is my go. I like the look of that. You know, the real benefit has been that Gutho's held up sort of an 80-90 average, and he's really held his value really well, which has made me feel very comfortable to sell a Hines and cash in on that $800, the $800K salary. And it allows me to do, I mean, bringing in IPAP, and that's an upgrade. And bringing in Luke Thompson is an upgrade for where I am in the front row. So it makes me the money that I need to do that. The things that have, and the other player I forgot to say was I'm going to bring in Tohu. He's my fifth trade. I'm going to bring in Tohu, and I'm trying to decide who it's going to be out of Maddo or Barnett. I can do either, and I just got to decide who they're going to be. So I'm going to bring in Tohu, Luke Thompson, IPAP, AFB, and Ramian. I think that those are my buys. And I think,
nice.
I think they're all strong buys.
Did you say you were getting enough before? You're nothing out of one of your front rowers?
AFB, Tohu, IPAP, AFB, Ramian.
You said AFB.
Oh, did I? Yeah, so that's where it is. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that's only 4 though.
Yeah. But and enough. Yeah. So
yeah, that's what I said. What enough were you looking at?
Oh, yeah. I mean, probably that Caleb Milne, I think, who's dual. I don't think he's going to get a game. I want someone who's second row, front row, probably in that area because, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's going to be enough that's a front row, second row for me. I just think that's the best pick. But yeah, what about yourselves? I want to hear what you're thinking of for your super trade round.
You go, Klim.
Yeah, put me on the spot there. 5 trades. Wish we had an extra one, but maybe that's me. That's me being greedy, probably.
5's enough.
Just an extra one in the total, not necessarily just this week, would be great.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever helps, I guess.
Have you saved it yet? Have you saved trades?
Yeah, surprisingly, I've saved 2 trades.
Oh, yeah.
Not too big, but there. Firstly, the front row forward rotation has been really, really shit this year, and duality has always been the meta in Supercoach, I guess. Throughout the years, there's been heaps of dually players. You had Madison once, who was a second row forward centre winger. You could always switch them around. And I guess that's what Supercoach really does well is the duality. But this year's been a different test, so trying to get second rowers in your front row forward, I guess, is the best meta this year. TPJ is a waste of a trade. You got to get him out. I mean, I would have liked not to him getting suspended, but that's the cruel mistress, So TPJ is the first trade I'm going to get rid of. Probably bring in Tohu.
Yep.
Second trade, Nico Hines out, Dave Fafita in.
Yeah.
Dave Fafita, he'll probably even out in price. He'll be raring to go. Got a couple of weeks off, That's all they need these days, the athletes.
And you got to get him. You got to run home with him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you didn't get him at 500, you got to get him at 700. It's only 200K.
Yep. You got to get it.
Is his break even still high? Is it 130 or so still?
Yeah.
It's a highish break even, but
Hang on. 131.
ceiling's there. The ceiling's there.
Yeah, I know, because I'm still kind of tossing up. Like, do I get Fafita or do I just go with Tohu?
Yeah, I think for me, in my trades, I'm going to get IPAP as my non-round 17 player. You could get a non-round 17 player, but I don't know how many you've got for round 17, but I'm going into 11, and I can't affect my 11. I have to go in with 11, a strong 11, but I'm going to pick my one person who's my fifth trade that doesn't is not going to affect my 11, but is who I choose to get. Because I lose TPJ, my extra player has to come into the front row because I've got no duels. I've got no one to bring up from second row. So if you could maybe bring someone up from second row and you could, use the TPJ. Would you prioritize IPAP ahead of Fafita? If you don't have either of them?
If you didn't need the front row position, then I would be trying to get Fafita over IPAP.
Yeah, and I would too.
That's probably how I'd look at it.
Yep.
If you had the ability to cover front row and you could get Fafita, then I would do that.
Yep, I would absolutely do that too, because he can go 150. IPAP doesn't generally can do that. So Klim, you're going to go Fafita, and I like it. I like it a bunch. Keep going.
Yeah, so Fafita, bring in Tohu Harris. Mm-hmm. He's also got that safety now. He racked up a high score, so his break-even's going to stabilise.
Yep.
Who else? I was thinking of bringing in Val Holmes.
Yeah.
At fullback, his lowest score's been somewhere around the 30s, 40s. And generally after that, he's been really good. Goal kicking, duality, ticks all the boxes.
He's got 133 break-even too.
Yeah. And are you worried about him in the backup as well? So he won't play probably. Will he play round 16 after this Origin?
He should play. It's a week between games, so you'd think that he'd play this week, and so he won't play 17. And I'm not sure what day, but they play the Roosters and the Storm after the bye. So for me, I'd probably be waiting for after that Storm game and hope that he's dropped down a bit in value because they have the Broncos, Titans, Tigers, Eels, Dragons, Manly to finish. So, but that Broncos, Titans, Tigers, you're probably going to want him through there.
Yeah. I mean, I like the buy. I mean, I want Val Holmes, but I'm thinking about him after all the wash-up of Origin. I mean, the first question that I think of when you say David Fafita and Val Holmes is how many have you got for round 17, Klim?
Yeah, I've got 10. I was thinking of taking a hit for 17.
Yeah. I mean, do
you have like a Ben Trebojevic included in that 10 sort of thing? Like, who are the fringe guys that are counted in that?
No, so I went hard for 13. I had Lenu, I had Famasili, all those guys. Yeah. Well, I mean, you either plan for 13 or you plan for 17. It's either or.
Yeah, I agree. I think you go hard at one or the other. So for me, I went hard at 13. I had 15 in round 13. And I'm just going to go 11 in round 17. So I'm going lighter. I think the minimum in round 17, if you went a 15 in the round 13, is an 11, personally, because I think you'll drop rank there. Like you went a little lighter on 13 and it cost you, didn't it, Kendo?
Well, I had 12, which is not a terrible number either.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
But I just happened to have all of my 12 just really go badly that week, and I went down 3,000 ranks from 2,000 to 3,500, 2,000 to 5,500. I went down.
Yeah. So I mean, I like the Val Holmes buy. I mean, you don't own Ramian or Tupu or any of them?
Yeah, I bought in Ramian last week.
Yeah, you got a 50 bucks. It's all right. I mean, I'm not against it. I mean, I think forward planning, I think people get obsessed with the buys. And like you said, you can only go hard at one, and on the other one you have to be more conservative because we're not flush with trades. We don't have endless trades. So all right. Well, what else? What are your other trades? Any more?
Yeah, I was thinking of going Watson to Grant, but I might as well hold off on that one.
Yeah,
Well, Grant's injured.
Yeah, Grant's injured, and we don't know when he's going to come back. You know, I don't think it could hurt you to maybe go in, you know, with an extra number maybe, or you just hold a trade, maybe Klim, you know, and you just wait for the right time to go to Grant. Because I'm Watson and Brayley in the hooker position, and I want to get one of them out. I don't know if it's Grant. I don't even know because he's a bit injuries, and I'm worried about him.
I have him, and I'm worried.
Yeah. You know, so I don't know, but I mean, you've got 5 trades there, and 3 of them are non-buy players. I mean, it's courageous in a way, you know. But like you said, you can't go strong at both. You got to kind of think about end of year, and I think Val Holmes, Fafita, and Grant are end of year. They're all on my targets for end of year.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna probably target Grant when he's healthy. I'm gonna probably target Fafita once he's out of Origin, and whether I get Val or not with one of my final trades, I mean, I've got a pretty strong center wing. I might have to skip someone like Val, but if I can get him, if I've got 3 or 4 trades up my sleeves in head-to-head matchups at the end, I'll do it. What about you, Kando, for your 5? What are you looking at?
I haven't looked at it super hard because I've been just chilling out on it and letting it mellow a little bit. But my original thoughts were Hines to Garrick. I couldn't afford Garrick last week, so I'm pretty filthy about that. I got Remy in instead, but knowing that I could get Garrick next week, him getting 150 stung a bit, but you know, you cop that.
Yep.
So Hines to Garrick, that makes me a bit of cash as well. I'm uncertain about TPJ yet. We've got a week and a half before we have to worry about what he's doing. So maybe his signing comes in the next few days and allows us to get a bit more clarity on what he's doing. Because if I can hold him, then I'd prefer to hold him and sell Barnett.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually
because I don't expect Barnett to stay on the edge.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because what if TPJ goes to, you know, like the Roosters or something, you know, and he's got 3 rounds, so he'll lose 16. He'll lose the bye, you know, 17 will count.
He's going to lose the bye anyway, yeah.
And then he'll be, if he's at the Roosters, he'll be a minimum minutes. So I actually think more than likely the scenario is no good for holding, personally.
It likely is, but like I said, I want to kind of get a little bit more clarity before I decide that I'm actually going to pull that trigger.
Yeah.
So obviously the guys that I like to bring, I want to nuff out. I've got Lenu and Farmasili there, so I've got to nuff out one of those for a bit of cash as well.
Yep.
I've got Barnett and, like I said, potentially TPJ that I'd like to bump up to a Fafita or a Tohu at some point. I've got Brian Kelly sitting there, so I've kind of got him sitting there ready to, because I've actually got Tawali as my second fullback at the moment, just the way things kind of worked out. I've got Hines and Johnston in the centre wing, so still can flick them around there as well. But I've got Kelly there, who's kind of my halfway there to Pap. So I've kind of to generate that cash to turn Kelly into Pap when he comes back. Also hoping, like, Pap's got a 200 break even, so I'm not going to buy him in his first game. Yeah. So I might get him for 120k cheaper if he comes off the bench and plays a 40-minute game for 50 points. He could be 120, 130k cheaper after one game.
Yeah, that's an interesting point.
I'll be looking at that. In terms of, like, my halves are pretty set. Like, I've got Cleary and Hughes at halfback. That's not changing for the rest of the year. I've got Cody Walker and Schuster there, so I won't even look at what Schuster's doing until after 17. If he doesn't get named for 17, then I'll likely flick him to an SJ or something like that. I'm also trying to look at, I still need to generate some cash to be able to get Fafita and Pat. They're the two guys that I really need after I get Garrick this week.
Mhm.
So I'm looking at options, and I've even considered a really weird out there one, doing a Brayley to Foran.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Foran's about 320k.
Yeah.
With a minus 35 break even, and he's just feeding Turbo.
yeah.
If Turbo scored himself, Foran's getting the assist. If Turbo then assists someone else, then he gets the TC. So he's just accumulating points based on what Turbo's doing.
Yeah. I mean, he's 300k for a reason, though. You know.
That's true, but he's had injury games and that sort of thing going through there. There's the games where Turbo wasn't in the team, so it's kind of skewed on the downward side a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but like I'm not saying I'm going to do that, but that's the sort of thing that I'm looking at. To like he got 90 odd on the weekend. Like that's a pretty big pod. He'd be owned by about 20 people.
Yeah. I mean, when I do my 5 trades this week, I got $200,000 spare.
Yeah, I won't have that.
Yeah, and I mean, I can go Maddo then, or up to Fafita straight away, or a Barnett. So for me, it's like I'm in a really good place with I can do all my 5 trades that I want to do this week. If I sell Hines, and then I'm free to get. I mean, Gutho will be a downgrade to Pat.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so. It's really interesting, I think, the way that everyone's going to use their trades. I like you've got to, obviously, your theme, Klim, is the run home. I think 3 of these trades about people that are going to be run home people. And I think there's certainly a point where, you know, I hear all these people talking on podcasts where they go, oh, you need all the, I mean, I do it myself. You need all these numbers for round 17. But I think 10, 11 is a good number if you had a good round 13. But if you don't have the trades to spare, you might as well get in people that you're going to have for run home. And Grant, Fafita, you know, Pat, all of those people are great finish the year people.
And they're expensive. And if you can't buy 4 of them in round 18.
No. And
you
might have
to use multiple trades to get them in. So if you can get them in now, then you're getting a jump on all those people that can't get them in yet.
Yeah. I mean, I waited on Tohu until, because I just kept seeing his high BE, and I just waited till he got down. And I think if Pappenhausen comes back, you know, I might fear what he can score in that first game back. But like you said, maybe you could play limited minutes and come down quite a bit in price, you know. But outside of when that happens, when I bring in Pap, I don't know how many more trades I'm going to make. I'm going to probably hold the rest of my... Pap could very well be the last trade I make for the year. You know, until
the other thing is Pat could come back and he could get concussed in his second game. And in that 2 games that he played, Hines has probably lost 250k and he'll be a buy again.
Yeah.
So I want to see Pat get through at least 1 game. And I did the same with Turbo. I wanted to see him get through 1 game and play semi well before I was going to jump on. As soon as I saw that he got through a game fine and he carved up, obviously, then I was in straight away. And I'll be the same with Pat. I want to see him play a game, get through the full game, play an 80-minute game as well would be good. If he's playing off the bench for 30 minutes, then I'm happy to wait. I'll wait for ages. I'll play with 1 fullback until ready.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst. I mean, I waited last week. The vogue sort of pick was Talakai, you know, and we saw that he
was way off that.
Yeah, it was the thought of yesteryear when he got 70 minutes, played a full 80, and when you just saw him go out, and I could tell early in the game that he wasn't playing 80 minutes, and I was just like, oh, he's not going to play the big minutes.
Well, he let 2 tries in by himself.
Yeah.
So he was going to get hooked.
Yeah. So it's always worth watching a week.
Yep, for sure.
All right, Klim, it's your turn. Tell us something.
Yeah, well, I mean, Talakai was never a buy. They had, Wilton on the bench. He hasn't been all the best, Talakai. The only thing tasty about him is just his dual position. I mean, if he was a regular second row, I'd probably overlook him.
Yeah, and his price was good, but I mean, I actually thought Teague Wilton looked better on the field actually in that game. He came on and was bloody good. Yeah. He's a good up and comer, that Teague Wilton. So
yeah, and he played well earlier in the year. He was really impressive, and I was one of those ones that got away early.
Yeah, so I mean, if you bought Talakai and I sort of said he was an option, sorry, I said he was. I did say he was an option, but I said look at him first. I mean, see what he does this week. Like I'm the same view as you. It's like let's have a look.
Well, he had an 80-odd break even, and you don't know what his role was going to be. So he was always a watch. But look, some people needed to generate some cash to free up some cash for other trades. So that was why he became a buy for some people.
Yeah, and I mean, unfortunately for you, you're going to get 40 points, probably 40, 50 points out of him. If he gets an attacking stat, like
that, though.
Yeah.
And he goes back to the bench now. That's a killer.
Yeah. So it's one of those ones in the year where we thought, like someone, not that he got a great score last week, but I mean, I don't know if you saw the conditions for Simonson and in that game with the wind, but he was an AE nightmare, but he's actually someone that I think he's going to hold the whole fullback position. He's going to get at least 35, 40 minimum. Not actually nightmare sort of numbers now. You can hold him. And I'm going to probably, with the trades that I have, he's not going to be someone I trade out. I'm just going to hold him because anyone in fullback, they get the opportunity to at least make 40 points.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so I was seriously looking at him last week. I'm glad I didn't go there for last week. That would have. Oh, I guess what did he end up 30? So Ramian only got a little bit more than that anyway. So
yeah, and I mean,
would have saved me 200K.
Yeah, it was hard conditions. So I mean, I played him, and he was probably the biggest downside of my team the whole week. But I gave it a go, and when I look at the conditions where the ball's coming back like that way on the kickoff, I was just like, oh, it must stink to be a fullback in this game. And it went that way for the Dragons as well. So it'll be interesting to see what he does now in good conditions at fullback. But he's not a buy; he's a hold. I'm going to hold him for 17 as a number, and I'll probably very rarely play him now unless I see him in good conditions and he gets good scores again. But in that game there, it was a mistake to just go so gung ho and play in the next week after the big score. I fell for it, but it was worth a shot.
If you owned him, you were going to play him.
Yeah, after the week before.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, look, the person I was going to play instead of him was Olam, who scored a 50, so 13 points.
Yeah, that didn't hurt much.
All right, well, I'll send this through to Bogan. He can, he can post it if he wants to as the thing, But I think Super Trade Round, it's really interesting. I think we all get to see sort of a conservative approach. I think we see someone who's planning for, the run home. We see someone like me who's trying to hit big in the buy with most of my trades, and to continue to hit a good score in the buy. I think I've in most years I don't plan both buys very well. I think I've planned both buys to go a 15 and 11. I'm going to do a 15 and 11, and I think hopefully that works out well for me. But
to be fair, I've always sucked at the two buys.
Yeah,
my super coach has always been poor since the two buy system came in. When it was the three buys and the couple of little mini buy rounds mixed in there, that's where I went so much better. I was able to plan so much better and save my trades better and organize my whole season so much better when it was that much more thought. When it's just the two buys, you can have your head-to-head players absolutely killing it in overall.
Yeah.
Whereas in the old system, head-to-head players had no chance in overall.
No.
So, yeah, I thought I was a lot more successful in that side of things. Last year, being able to just max trade the whole time
Yeah.
was fun, and I did pretty well with that.
Yeah.
But the 2 buys just always stitches me up for some reason. I just can't quite get my balance right with it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think a lot of people fell into the lull of having, less rounds last year and extra trades, and it's tripped them up a smidge, But I think it's going to be an interesting run. I think for the end. I know so many people who have their own podcast that have max traded. People who are like seasoned podcasters.
Costa.
Yeah. Savs,
That's too.
he's max traded, and if you've max traded now, tell me, Klim, if you've max traded now, are you gonna make it?
Oh, it depends.
If you get lucky,
Yeah, it's just luck. The whole game is luck. I mean,
yeah.
Well, you had people captaining Hines, thinking, what a beauty, he's going to run the whole show, and then
Turbo.
what happened? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I had a lot of people messaging me in the socials going, should I loop Cody Walker? And I was sort of like, luckily I gave them all the answer. Like, I don't think 110's the score anymore, guys. I don't think 110's the score.
Was it Des that did loop Walker? There's Creek, I think.
Yeah.
Or was it Jake? No, one of the boys in the Turbo Tammys did a loop on Walker, and I think they got touched up.
Yeah. I mean, when I was up against Barnsey and he captained Hines, you think that an 80 as a captain, you'd be like, oh, I'm not going to suffer too much. But when your captain gets 200, you win. But I think if you've max traded now, the people who have max traded and they go into this super trade round, if you've max traded now, you can only do 3 trades in this super trade round. That's what I think.
Yeah, I reckon that's pretty fair.
Because if you don't save some now, every year I write myself a post-it, and all it says at the top of it is you didn't save trades.
Save trade.
Yep. That's all I say. I'm like, you didn't save trades. And
did it again.
and almost that's the first mistake I made was where sometimes I run into the final rounds and I've got a real premium player on the bench as a non-playing reserve who I couldn't trade out because I had none left. I think if you're max trading,
always
get into those final rounds where coaches rest players, $700,000 players, and you can't trade them on a matchup, So I think when you get to round 20, 21, 22, you're going to want to have a little few up your sleeve, and max traders, that would be my warning to max traders in super trade round is that it might be super trade round. It's super trade round for the people that save trades. It's not super trade round for you. It's 3 trades for you, So that's my advice to everyone. If you've max traded, you don't have 5 trades. You got 3. And if you have saved and you want to get your team right, and if the trades benefit your team, I want to use 5 and it's a TPJ to IPAP. I think IPAP's a better play than TPJ for the rest of the year anyway, and I get him at least for 16. I don't get him for 17, but TPJ is not even back by then, so there's logic in that.
You're already ahead.
Yep. And I've saved 4 trades now. So I've got enough to buy that privilege. You got to earn your privilege.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's great having you on, lads. I think, we're all up in the top sort of, 3,000, heading towards the finals. And I hope that you have a really good end to the year, both of you. And BJ on Game Day, lads have had a good year for the most part. There's a few of us in that BJ on Game Day, the regulars are having a great year. Bundy's having a great year. And
shout out to Bundy and Marty.
Yeah, they're having a great year. Marta's having a good year. He's in the top, in the top 1,000 as well. I'm going to have Marta on my own personal show this week on the Sunday.
And Leanne,
yeah. Some good people in there.
Doing it.
Yep, and yourself, Klim, you were right up the top at the start of the year. And how good, mate. It's good to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, boys. It's been good talking Supercoach.
Yeah, and I mean, I like your strategy into the next part of the year. It'll be interesting to sort of chat to you on the, while the potty's going and see how it's working out for you. I think maybe in the round 17, if I was like a fortune teller, I would say maybe you might take a hit in 17, but then you'll shoot forward after that because you're making long-term goals. People get obsessed over 17. For me, it could be a matter of does it work or not. Like, I mean, I think, Kando, you were just a bit like, I thought my 12 would do better than that. So I could go with 11 and fucking 4 of them could suck and I'd be a suck. And then I'd be...
Yeah, well, I've got 9 currently before I do any trades at the moment, but 2 of them are Burbo and Ryan James. Yeah. So really I've got 7.
Yeah.
And then if I'm looking at doing, I'm going to try and keep myself to 3, maybe 4 trades. Save another couple. So if I do 3 trades, takes me up to 10 good players, another 2 trades, 12 good players, plus a Burbo and James who are just space fillers.
Yeah.
So hopefully that gets me to 14, gives me a solid round 17, considering I did so poorly in round 13.
Yeah.
And then just figure it out.
Yeah, if you did bad in round 13, I think you need to go a little harder at round 17. Personally, if you did well in round 13, you could probably go a little lighter in round 17. My number is always 25. I went 15 in round 13, so I'm going to go 11 just to be a little judgy in round 17. I'm going to go 26, which is a little bit above the number that is the minimum, 25. But like for people, I think you just it's the advice is just play the cards in front of you, play what you got in front of you. Yeah. And if you're sucked in 13, if you don't go hard at 17, you might get left behind. If you're going pretty good overall for the year, actually, if you sucked in round 13, some people have to write off 17 for going so aggressive because they're just like, I can't afford now to waste trades. I'm going to just bring you my run home people.
Yeah, and that's going to hit you again.
In 17, yeah. It's going to hit you in 13 and 17, but hopefully in the run home, you got all your players and you managed to conserve your trades and you're on the same playing field as everyone else then. So everyone who's like at 10,000 and they're like, oh, burnt trades, you know how you get back in it is that you hope that you don't fucking suck in 17 and you can get on the same playing field as everyone else.
Well, I've heard a bit of chat over the last couple of days. I'm not sure where I heard it, but about how the Origin period is affecting, obviously, the NRL games, particularly how the Panthers have lost a couple of games in a row with all their numbers out and that sort of thing. And the chat about having the actual rep window and stopping the NRL for a month in the middle of the season is actually getting a little bit more traction. So you can have 3 weeks in a row of State of Origin. You can have 3 weeks in a row at the same time where all of your Pacific Islands all play each other.
Yeah. And
then on the 4th week, Australia can play the winner of the round robin of the Pacific Island nations or something like that. So you can then have a 4-week rep window, and then it's not interrupting the NRL season so much. And
then NRL resumes after that. Yep, I like it. I mean, I
think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I love it.
Because you can really pump up that international period and say, look, this is something to really get excited about. We're going to try and get all those international fans into the game. We're like trying to put the focus on international.
You have Origin and some internationals all in the same little clump in the year, and it just makes it's like a little circle of rep footy. I like it. But I mean, look, this is different. The
ramifications for Supercoach is that there's no buy rounds and everyone's just going hell for leather with their trades, and it's just a matter of how many trades they give us.
Yeah, but I mean, look, this round is going to be this round 17. I mean, sorry, this rep round into round 16 is going to be different, and even the round into round 17 because there are players who, like Angus Crichton, could technically. What is the gap between Origin and the Roosters playing? He might back up and play round 17. Can't he?
They
I
can't play
guess
round
so.
17. That's the pre-Origin round. They can back up and play 18 if they play Origin.
Oh, okay. So it's round 16. Well, Origin's this Sunday. Coming.
This Sunday. Oh, so 16. Everyone will back up because it's just like a normal week.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And so in round 17, Angus Crichton will play.
No, it was not 17 because that's pre-Origin 3.
Oh, round Origin 3.
Yeah, it's the week break that leads to the confusion.
Yeah. I get you. So
Yeah, so we've got this week with no NRL
Yeah.
and the State of Origin on Sunday. Then round 16 starts next week. And then we've got another bye round the week after where all the Origin players are gone. And then we've got the week where they're backing up.
All right.
And most of them are probably sitting out again.
Yeah.
So it's essentially a 3-week bye.
Yeah.
With the international break.
All right. Yeah. So there could be.
Do we actually have internationals on the weekend? I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, it's the lower tier countries like the Philippines, Brazil. Yeah, I was interested. Those lower league grassroots footy. I mean, they're doing good.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
All
right.
Well,
from a Supercoach point of view, there could be some restings that we're all going to have to deal with because if round 13 was anything to go by, I think, like a team like the Panthers, wasn't it a shock to you that they didn't play a few more of them?
Yeah, I felt that they could have played a couple of them just to get some sort of role on for their team and that sort of thing in that post spot. Like, there was nothing wrong with Luai. They just rested him because I can understand them resting Cleary. But chuck Luai in there. He had a good game. He didn't get bashed up all that much. He would have been fine.
I mean, Teddy kicked everyone in the balls, didn't he? Because he was named and then he was a late pullout. So I mean, I
had Teddy and Turbo, and I was like, oh, they're both named, and then they're both pulled out.
I know. Well, so I mean, what hit you, Klim, harder, round 13 or round 14? I actually whipped so many round 14 people.
Well, round 13, I done a bold move. I traded out Tom Turbo to get Dufty in, and I actually captained Dufty, and he got the highest score of the round.
Yeah,
so
I remember that.
It's essentially quality, not quantity for the buy numbers. If you pick the right captain, then that can elevate you.
Yeah.
Then in round 14, Turbo got arrested. Dufty had a shoot score, but he scored better than arrested Turbo. And then round 15, switcheroo, and back on even terms.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I actually lost to someone who had 8 in a head-to-head. They had 8 people in round 13, and they were a Dufty captainer. They beat me with 15 players, and they had 8, but Dufty was their captain.
Yeah, that's all it takes, just one person with the right captaincy.
Yeah, but I mean, it's hard to predict, really. I mean, in round 17, the people who you think could actually do that are probably Cody Walker. Cody Walker. Who else is going to get a 200?
Essentially, you get 2 free shots at captaincy. So if you fuck up one shot, you've got another shot.
Maybe Garrick or someone, could at fullback get 100 plus.
Garrick could. He's playing fullback with that server, so you don't expect them. They're playing the Raiders, aren't they?
Yeah, he'll ton up.
Yeah, that'll be an attacking game.
But yeah, all right. Well, so it's so interesting, really. We're at a really interesting part of the year. I love it. And I know that it's a rep round and we didn't really, there wasn't going to be a BJ on game day, but it's good to just chat. I mean, a lot of things, during this week where I've got 5 trades, I go in at least daily and try different 5 trades. It's so interesting to me. I love it. And I love to sit there and think about what I could possibly do and what I might change. And I think it's good to chat about it and different strategy about what you're going to do. I'm not going to go super hard at round. I think you're going to have 10, Klim. I'm going to have 11. I think you're going to probably have more than 11, maybe. It sounds, Kendo, after the rough old 13, to give yourself a chance.
Yeah, I'll probably be looking at 12, 13, I'm thinking, because I might bring in a David Fafita or something like that as a non-buy player in this week or something like that. So we'll see how we go when team lists pop up next week.
Yeah, and I mean, it's such an interesting time. I think, good luck to both of you. Obviously, I mean, we're all three of us are in, a similar. We're in a league together. I'm in a number of leagues with you, Kando, and it's a good time of year. I think I say in my podcast, round 13, it sort of sorts out the men from the boys and the ladies from the girls, and where everyone sort of lands at the end of round 17, you kind of, when I get out of round 17, I kind of can always know where I'm going to finish for the year, in a way.
Yeah.
Barring anything that's amazing that happens, I'm like, I'm going to finish top 500 this year, or whatever, because if you can get out of both bye rounds and you've done well in those rounds overall, and you've got a few trades up your sleeves, you just go, I've run a good year. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And I feel like in round 17, everyone starts to drop off the max traders and the people that had too many nuts.
So many people dropping off.
Yep.
Come towards the end.
Yeah.
Because it's only going to take a couple of injuries and a couple of suspensions, and then people are going to be just so screwed.
Yep. So it'll be interesting to see how everyone goes. And I like everyone's strategy. I think they're three smart strategies, and that's what everyone needs to work out is what is your strategy? It can be different.
There's no right way and there's no wrong way either.
No, there's not. And there's a way for person A, person B, person C. It's all different and depends on how your year's gone so far and what you've got for what you need to do. It's just everyone. I mean, Des won it, and he was he's always been an ultra aggressive person. He's always been a person who carries heaps of nuffs. Whereas someone like Tim Williams plays really conservative. I know he came second, but he plays it in a very different way to everyone plays it in a different style, and they can both, a lot of ways can be successful.
Yeah, for sure.
Klim?
I'm too conservative.
I mean, I'm a bit of A and B. I'm a little bit conservative, and I take a risk when I do. I mean, predominantly, I'm someone who takes stupid risks, but this year I'm taking some smarter risks. I think maybe because I do a podcast now, I'm thinking about things a little bit more, and because I'm off the drinks a little bit more. But I mean,
then you've got guys like Dan in BJ Group. He's probably going to listen to this as well. Who goes
hard on the
he really goes.
Yeah, well, I mean, we could be best friends then, maybe. But Klim, thanks for coming on the show, mate. And hopefully, I'll get this across the bogan and we get it on because you've been a great guest. And I think you've dead set done a good enough job to actually get on the show. You're a champion.
Yeah, thanks, Adrian. I mean, if we don't get it, we can always upload it as a separate thing,
Yeah.
Plenty enough of people get their fix,
Yeah. I mean, look, if Bogan doesn't want to upload it as BJ,
we'll chuck it in the Turbo Tammy Cup group.
Yeah, I'll upload it as Adrianosaurus, the Adrianosaurus show.
Oh, yeah, that's what you said.
Yeah, I've got my own show, so I'll upload it as that, and we'll have you on there as well. And I'm going to think of you as a guest for the Adrianosaurus show as well.
No worries.
Yeah, I've already had Kando on, and thanks for coming. And it was great to have you on, Kando, as always, mate. You're a good person to talk Supercoach with. And have a good night, guys.
See you later, guys.
Cheers.
Catch you later.
See you later. I think we're off now. So I'm going to do my bit here where I save it, and I'll get it across to Kando, and we'll see how he goes.
You're gonna sing your song?
No, I mean I only sing the song with my
your closing out song.
Yeah, I only sing with the Jurassic Park theme. I mean I've got it here. I've always got it here. I'll put it on and I'll do a song if you want, and we'll just.
I always have to wait. I have to wait and see. I've got a mention in a couple of the songs, so I've always got to listen.
Yeah, you have. I mean, I'll put it up here if I can get it to work. I'll get it up, and I'll do one for the end of this show, and I'll press record again. And I had Klim as well. It was a great show. We talked about some strategy, about the Super Bye round. I think that we've all got different strategies, but I like them all. And I hope you have a good Super Trade round, everybody. And yes, thanks for coming. There you go. I did one.